Alright, what's going on everyone on YouTube? NES Roller, welcome back to yet another review. Yeah, I've been busting these out. I'm watching a whole bunch of interesting films, and I hope you guys have been enjoying the reviews, a little bit different than my, just my updates. I hope so. I hope you guys have been enjoying these reviews. So, alright, the next movie that I'm going to be reviewing is a film that, there's been a few documentaries over the past few years that have come out about this subject. One earlier on in the year that was released by HBO, titled Montage of Heck, which is a really, really good documentary about the subject that this documentary is about. But that film is more about, the movie's called Soaked in Bleach. That movie's more about Kurt Cobain's life as a whole, and this film's more about the theory that Courtney Love was actually up to something no good with Kurt Cobain's suicide attempt. And, this topic has been talked about forever. I'm a huge, rock, I guess you could say grunge. Not really much grunge like Nirvana was, but I'm a huge rock fan. I'm really not into, modern day music, if that's what you call it. I don't ever listen to it. I'm more of a 60s, 70s rock person. So, Nirvana I've listened to, quite a bunch, and I've always found this Kurt Cobain stuff very interesting, simply because of the fact that over time people have started to come out with some interesting theories about what actually happened, and if he actually killed himself, or was Courtney Love up to something, or what was going on. So, like I said, Montage of Heck was mostly just about just Kurt Cobain's life, and this film's more about the conspiracy theory, leaning more towards the fact that Courtney Love was actually up to something in Kurt Cobain's death. So this film basically follows the Tom Grant, who was the public investigator who was hired by Courtney Love to investigate the missing person case of Kurt Cobain. And this film basically follows real person testimony from Tom Grant that was filmed recently, and it's intertwined with reenactments of his experiences of trying to find what happened to Kurt Cobain. And it's really interesting the way that it's edited between his testimony and the reenactments, because it has recordings. He recorded everything that he talked about during the case back in the 90s, 94. So it's intertwined with audio tape from the actual time that he was talking to either Courtney Love or Callie, who was the housekeeper of Kurt Cobain's house in Seattle. Not Seattle, in LA, I think. So it's just really interesting how it was intertwined with each other, and things like that. So I had to give it credit with that. It was really interesting. I haven't seen too many documentaries where they intertwine reenactments and personal testimony with actual audio from the real actual event that they're reenacting in the film. Now, the people who are acting in the reenactment, are they the best actors? Not even close. The character who plays Tom Grant, he actually does a pretty good job. He's not too bad. The chick who plays Courtney Love, I think, is not very good, to be completely honest. She's actually not good at all. I think she's pretty terrible. But I don't know much about Courtney Love as it is to understand that she was really like that type of character back during this time period. I would assume so. I know she's a drug addict and things like that. So I would assume that her reenactment was pretty an accurate representation of what Courtney Love was. But like I said, I'm not confident in Courtney Love's back in the mid 90s. So I can't say that I give this actress too much crap. But she wasn't a good actor or anything like that, unfortunately. But so this really presented a lot of interesting testimony about the fact that Courtney Love was up to this murder of Kurt Cobain. And the documentary goes through the timeline of Tom Grant's steps in trying to solve this case, and at the end, the last 40 minutes or so, goes through each individual thing, such as the shotgun barrel. It was turned upside down, and Kurt Cobain's arm was wrapped around the barrel. I forgot what it's called. They came up with some scientific name. And when he shot himself in the head, instead of the casing of the shotgun shell bounced right like it should have, it actually bounced to left and was on his clothes on his left-hand side, which wouldn't have made any sense in the first place because the shell would have shot out of the right side of the barrel of the shotgun barrel instead of the left-hand side. So the fact that either it bounced off something, which they show in the documentary couldn't have been the case because there was nothing that could have made the shell projectile over to Kurt Cobain's other side. And the fact that they said that he actually was pointing the barrel like this at himself, not upside down, and when he shot, it somehow flipped over, and that's why the shell shot off to the right-hand side and not to the right-hand side. That's why the shell didn't shoot off to the right-hand side and appeared on the left-hand side. So it was just things like that I found really, really interesting. And, this stuff isn't new or anything like that. It's not stuff that has already came out, but, it's things that I found really interesting and done in a way that, was kind of persuading me a little bit more than I thought that it would have. I think Courtney Love, maybe had a little bit to do with it, to be completely honest, but I think this documentary added a few other things that I thought about the case that I didn't really think about in the past. And I think the one thing that I think was most clear that Courtney Love was up to something was the amount of heroin that was in Kurt Cobain's system when he was found dead. It was like 70 times the normal dose of heroin, which would probably make him not be able to actually shoot himself in the head like he did, because there's no way anybody would be able to handle that much heroin in their system and still have the ability to get up and put a shell in a shotgun and shoot themselves. So I think that one fact kind of persuaded me that Courtney Love was actually up to something with this whole suicide thing and stuff like that. But, like I said, this is a really interesting case. Are we ever going to know what actually happened with Kurt Cobain? No. Seattle's police department tried to bury this case as much as they possibly could. So I really don't think that we're actually ever going to see actually what happened, or we're going to see any of the crime photos. I know they released some a few months ago at the beginning of last year, and there wasn't anything really there that would say anything different, that it was a suicide or a murder case and things like that. So I don't really ever think we're actually going to know what happened with Kurt Cobain, which is unfortunate. But I think as time goes on, more of these conspiracy theories will come up about what happened. So I'll be interested to see some more evidence towards one side or the other, because this is a topic that's always going to be discussed. So overall, I think this is actually a really interesting documentary. I think it has an objective, and it kind of succeeds in trying to get its objective across, that Courtney Love was actually up to the murder. Like I said, I haven't really decided if I think that Courtney Love was up to something or not. I think, she had a little bit to do with his murder or suicide or whatever you want to call it. But I'm not totally persuaded yet that that she had anything to do with it. Like I said, I think with the heroin, the whole heroin aspect, that that I think there was something fishy going on, but I guess we'll never really know, to be completely honest. So I give this one a 7 out of 10. I've been giving a lot of films 7 out of 10s lately, but I give this one a 7 out of 10. I think it's interesting. The acting is not that good, and there's some. It's not really new, nothing original, like I said. So I got to knock points off for that. It really didn't bring anything new to the table, but it presented the facts in an interesting way. So you can pick this up from MVD Entertainment on August 14th on DVD. So yeah, pick it up, give it a watch if you are interested in this type of subject. I think it's interesting. So yeah, sorry if I rambled on too long, but I think there's a lot to be said about that whole Kurt Cobain case. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NESRuler22, and I'll be back with some more reviews. Got some more stuff coming up, so I'll talk to you guys soon. See you guys.